Not all sealed product is created equal. Some has the potential to 10x, while others are dead on arrival. Today I'm going to give you 10 tips to help you invest in sealed product like a pro. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Market Movers video. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as Teapot, and today I am talking about sealed product investment, aka sealed wax, the colloquial term in the hobby for this stuff. And you know what? Sealed product can actually be one of the best, if not the best, long-term investments in the entire sports card hobby. It can actually be more like investing in a mutual fund or one of the major indexes like the S&P 500 within the sports card realm. Definitely not the same level of security, and I want to talk you through 10 important things to think about if you want to start investing in sealed product. Now, what you're trying to avoid is this type of stuff. Not just junk wax itself, but things that may cost $1 to $2 a pack back then, and then 40 years later, 30 years later, still $1 to $2 a pack. You don't want that. That's not a good investment. So I'm going to take you through a whole bunch of tips. Some are my own and some a good friend of mine. Let's get right into it. All right, tip number one, know the checklist. This is the most important thing that I've got to stress is know the checklist and specifically know the rookie class, which rookies come in this product. And I think right out of the gate about a product like this one right here, 2020 Prism Football. Why is this hobby box $2,000? Well, it's partially because of this guy on the cover, Joe Burrow. He's a rookie in this product. You've also got other great quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl champion Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love. You've got Justin Jefferson. You've got Justin Herbert. You've got CeeDee Lamb. You've got Jonathan Taylor. You've got other talented positional players. To have four very talented quarterbacks in a given rookie class is somewhat rare, and that's why that box and why that rookie class overall commands a premium for those products. Other things to take into consideration, what are the big chases overall in a given product? I think about the Topps MLB debut patch autos that came out over the last few years. Those are in Topps Chrome Update Baseball. Those are huge chases. You've got case hits like Downtowns, Kabooms, Blank Slates, Color Blast, other things like that. Those can help a product sustain its value over time. And then I also would think about, looking at the checklist overall from websites like Beckett. You want to look at manufacturer websites. There's a lot of different resources out there to understand exactly what it is or isn't in a product. Now, one thing people forget, autos. Specifically, are the autos redemptions or are they real autos? Like, are the autos actually inserted into the product? And if they are redemptions, what's the shelf life on that? Because I'll give you a really good example. 2018 Topps Chrome Baseball, Shohei Ohtani, his rookie autos, redemptions. So if you're holding that product or if you go rip that product and you hit an Ohtani, it's a redemption that has expired that you can't claim now. So those are off the shelf. That definitely impacts the value of that product overall. So overall, you just want to understand that rookie class and kind of what's in the box. Some other great rookie classes I think about, basketball, for example, 1996, 2003, and 2018, and then obviously also 2018 baseball with so many talented players in that. So knowing the checklist is critical. Let's get to tip number two. All right, tip number two is going to be the product pedigree as well as licensing. Does the product have the licenses for the team logo jerseys? So there are a lot of flagship products or a lot of really iconic products within each sport and each manufacturer. When you think about Panini, you think about obviously something like Prism. I just pointed that out for 2020. We've got the most recent 2024 Prism products here. And then you've got things like maybe Optic is a tier down. You think about something like National Treasures. Even though I have my own strong opinions about it, it is highly sought after, flawless. Know what the highest tier of products are, the different tiers, and which ones are iconic. And then there are going to be others that are just not as sought after, like Panini Black. I think it's a cool set. It's a great collector product. Does it have the same investment cachet long term? I don't really think so. And then you think about unlicensed products. So unlicensed, like Topps football products recently when they restarted remaking these, they have had exclusive autos, which is a bit of a caveat when I talk about this. But in general, you want to go after the licensed products. Now, there are other companies and manufacturers that do things that have unlicensed products like Leaf and Pro Set. So we have some of those products here. You'll see like college signatures. You've got that press pass there. And then you've got some of these Leaf products. A lot of people are really passionate about these. You can get some really cool autographs in them. Typically, the cards are very well designed. But from an investment perspective, I personally tend to stay away from those. You want to narrow your scope. Narrow the number of options that you have into what people are absolutely going to see as the most iconic products from any given time or year, especially because there are so many products being created today. So that's really important to take into consideration is, how notable are these products? When I think about baseball, Topps products, obviously, I think about Topps Chrome. I think about Bowman Chrome, Bowman Draft. You can think about something like Topps Dynasty, which is starting to emerge in the high-end space. Narrow your scope down to which ones people think most highly of and which ones are kind of viewed as the most important rookie cards, and focus on investing in those products. All right, tip number 3 is to know the card design and how other people perceive it. It's not necessarily what you think. Remember, I always say collect what you love and invest in what others love. You wanna know what does the general population of the hobby think of a given year's design. So 2018 Topps Chrome products, very highly thought of. 2018 Prism for basketball, definitely highly thought of. 2008 Topps was another year that's very popular, so you start to understand why some of these hobby products have a premium. They command a premium, not just for the rookie classes, but the designs overall. And then 2016 Prism basketball and football, both viewed by many to be the worst designs, and they're different designs, ironically, but both of them not really highly thought of by the hobby community. And then 2017 Prism basketball, for example, sort of viewed as like middle of the road. So typically, if it's one of the more flagship products and it's a strong rookie class, a bad design won't as much hurt it as a really good design will amplify it, but the design does matter and you wanna know what other people think of the design, not what you think of it. All right, so tip number 4 has to do with the card quality, the print quality from the manufacturer, how are these things coming out of the pack, and what matters is the PSA 10. That's how people make their money back, or at least try when they're ripping products. You've seen me do a few experiments now in terms of like, can I grade and every card from a box and make money? Well, you've got to hit the PSA 10 or you will not make your money back on those graded cards. So I like to use a website called gemrate.com, Gemrate.com. They give you tons of incredible information about the overall gem rate, the grades of different products. And according to Gemrate, 2013 Prism Football had a 57% gem rate overall, or has still currently a 57% gem rate. That means almost 6 out of every 10 cards that you would send in, theoretically pack fresh, would actually get a PSA 10. That's pretty high for an ultra-modern product, or for any product for that matter. Whereas 2024 Prism Football, which we just talked about a few minutes ago, 29% gem rate. That is abysmal. So while you have a pretty strong quarterback class last year in 2024, at least right now, a lot of people still very high on number of those quarterbacks, the print quality of those cards is terrible, and it's been produced a lot, which we're gonna get into in a few minutes. So you've gotta know all the different factors. It's gonna be really hard for people to go, oh, I wanna rip this box open in the year 2042 if the cards inside aren't gonna be very good quality, and that's really gonna hurt their ability to potentially make their money back when they rip that open in the future. So you gotta know the gem rate and the print quality issues overall. All right, so tip number 5 is to try to understand print runs of different products. Now, unfortunately, the manufacturers themselves aren't necessarily super eager to tell us exactly how many of each card have been printed. While there are serial numbered cards in them, it can still be somewhat difficult. There are certain websites and other content creators like Topps Production BB on X who will sort of reverse algebraize the math for you. They look at the pack odds, which Topps thankfully does give us, and they back their way into how many of each card has been printed. So we'll put it up on the screen, how many, for example, were in Topps flagship year over year. And then you could think about another product like Topps Heritage, which you just want to understand how many of these cards are in existence and how many boxes were produced. If it stands a high degree of probability over time that there's just going to still be a ton of boxes available out there, a lot of supply, you're going to be competing against all those other products, and it's going to make it really difficult for your product to appreciate overall. So, you know, if the cards you think are going to be a dime a dozen, like those early 80s junk wax cards that we talked about, those are not the products you want to invest in. You've got to have some rarity in order to have actual scarcity down the line and have people want to open your product. All right, tip number 6, you've got to know which box format you should invest in. And generally speaking, hobby box is the safest or sort of the go-to one from an investment perspective, but there are years where other box formats had better odds or specific chases in them that you want to know about. So you can, again, go study the checklist and try to understand those, but there are a lot of different box types. So 2024 Prism, this is a hobby box. You see hobby boxes. Then there are going to be blaster boxes, which are sort of like the retail format. This is the Fast Break product, which has exclusive parallels in it. It's kind of like a crossover between retail and hobby. Then you've got these retail boxes, which have like the value packs inside of them. This is a mega box. So there's a lot of different box formats. The good news about that is it does give people different price points to access, to be able to open packs if that's what they want to do. You could also say, well, I don't have $1,000 or $500 to invest into a product, but I do have $65 that I want to put into this because I believe in the draft class. So there's ways to get in at different price points. You can stock up on them. It gives you a little more flexibility if you wanted to sell part of them off at a lower price point and hedge over time. But you've got to pick what box format makes the most sense for your portfolio, but you need to also understand what comes in each of those boxes, because if some of them would skunk somebody in general, those are definitely not going to go up over time either. All right, for my last 4 tips, I got to give a shout out to my friend Filmington. Filmington has been investing in sealed wax products for quite some time now. He's something of a pro at it. He also puts together like repack boxes called the RC Explosion box that help people get access into different tiers of stuff for a little bit more of an affordable price point. And his 4 tips, first tip was performance of recent years' releases. So when you're looking at a specific product line and a specific brand, you want to see how they've been doing recently. You can use something like Market Movers charts, which tracks thousands and thousands of sealed products, to look at like last year or look at 2023 Prism Basketball Hobby Box. Okay, how did that perform over that following year or the following 2 years? And you can go back and use that historical data to think, okay, how is this 2025 Prism product stack up and have the potential to increase in value over time. His second tip, understand the changes to product configuration. Now that one sounds a little bit confusing, but what do I mean? Take a product like Topps Chrome Sapphire Edition. That is a set that Topps has continued to tinker with over the last many years. Basically ever since they released it, they keep changing the configuration. Some of the years have higher print runs, some are much lower, where the base cards even are very rare. They changed the serial numbering, they changed how many parallels, and a whole bunch of things in these products. And the price point also changed somewhat significantly year over year. So you want to understand how that product configuration has changed. Another product that I think of is actually Select Basketball and Select Football. 2018 and earlier, very strong product, very, very desirable, highly sought after, with really strong chase cards that are very scarce. But starting in 2019, they started to dilute the pool, create more parallels, and they made a retail offering, so it was no longer hobby exclusive. And while that was good for collectors who wanted to get into Select and have some of those cards, it wasn't good for people who were investing in sealed product or who viewed Select as a select product, as a more high-end product. They started to water it down. They added in 4th layer and a 5th layer and all these different parallels, 151 one-of-ones. They basically destroyed it, in my pretty strong opinion. So you want to understand the product configuration. Filmington's third tip, acquisition timing. So when are you actually buying this product and how? You got to understand the price point, and don't buy the product right when it releases. If you can get it on pre-release for somewhere near SRP, that's a great thing. If you have some kind of a source that can get it to you at a good price. And other than that, I would wait. I would wait a few months, because there's always new products coming out. So even the most popular products typically will cool off from the hype, come down a little bit in price. That's when you want to start to scoop those, but definitely don't buy it like right when it comes out for most products, unless you believe for some reason that it's still massively undervalued. And then the 4th point, maybe something of an obvious one, but know your exit strategy, at least roughly speaking. This applies to both cards and sealed products. But when you plan to sell this, are you sticking these away for years and years, just waiting for them? That's fine. Just make sure you have them stored properly, not in a humid or smoky environment. If you have more of a short-term or medium-term horizon in mind, you need to keep track of that. And this is where, yes, the shameless plugs for Market Movers come back into play. This is a Market Movers channel, but I'm really proud of my team. We add all these sealed wax products into our database so that you can track them. You can put them into your collection, and you can set up price alerts that will notify you when something goes above a given point